Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going quickly over the fried liver attack again. I wasn't quite clear, and then there's 3 games after I'm going to talk about and discuss about the winning moves, the bad moves, what we could have done better, what the opponent could have done better, and just to improve our game by looking at the mistakes of each other. So, okay, without further ado, this is a E4 opening. So this is quite standard. This opening, you probably play this all the time. So most players would see this at a low radar, would see this a lot. Okay, so the most important move now would be the Italian game. So this is the Italian game. The reason why usually a game has got a name for it is because someone famous has won as in the championship, and that's how names are created. Sometimes it's someone's last name, or someone gets to create the name for it anyway. So the next move is very important, and that's the knight. Okay, so this is like a gambit. A gambit is when you offer a piece and your opponent has to decide whether or not to take it or not take it. So okay, so we do this. We're testing this out. Okay, so if we turn this around, you'd think what's the normal move? The normal move, what you want people to play is this, and then what happens is we take the pawn. Okay, and then we're attacking this twice. Okay, so we are white doing this trick. We're defending as black. So we hit this. Okay, so then we're attacking this once, but then we just go ahead and just take it anyway. So we're sacrificing this knight. So this is where the gambit is. We get to decide whether or not we take it. And now we're forking the rook and the queen. Okay, so that's where the gambit is. So we get to decide whether to take it. We can also run the queen away because it's under threat as well. So if you turn it back around. Okay, so the black makes the mistake of taking the piece, and then we do this sneaky move where we check. We're actually attacking this twice now. Okay, so if black plays this terrible, he goes back. Then we check. So there's only one legal move after this, and that's that. And then we attack that immediately, and that's checkmate. Okay, that's the fried liver attack if it's the most successful. Okay, so generally speaking, if they do not move the king back there, the king will either end up on this side of the board or in the center of the board, or will take at least the rook. So when the queen ran away a couple moves before, the knight would take the rook. Okay. And yeah, if you've got any more questions about the fried liver attack, please go ahead. It's quite complex. It just takes a little bit of practice, and it's not guaranteed to work all the time because players do know it. So that's the reason why, if you have a look, I'll reverse it back very quickly. So when you see this move, all of a sudden I think it wasn't even that move. Hold on, I'll go back. So this was the move, defend it, okay, and attack. So we turn it around, and then this is when the Italian game comes out, and this is when you start seeing, this is how you defend it, so it doesn't happen. And then we move there, and we're quickly defending that square, okay? So that's the anti-fried liver attack now. So when they defend that square, they can't do the fried liver attack, all right? Anyway, I'll go to my next game now. Hopefully you understood that one. So this is the first game today. I had a really good day today. I broke 1200, so I'm moving up in the ratings now pretty good. Friday night wasn't so good. I was playing when I was tired, and then Saturday I was refreshed and I just crushed it. And then today I did well again too. So okay, so this one he's offering again. This is a gambit. This is called the Scandinavian opening. So this is one where you can decide to take it or not take it. So I ignore it. This is what I normally do is if, for instance, if if I get a chance to expand forward in the game and try and take more chessboard space, that's what I do. But it doesn't happen any time. So not all the time do I do that, take the advantage of the space. Because in the Dutch, I've been getting countered a lot, and it actually hurt me taking that extra bit of space. Because with the Dutch, you'd often have like the square, you'd have this piece here, same as the Sicilians, you'd have this piece here, so you couldn't really, you go here, it gets really messy with the Dutch anyway, and then the Sicilian here, it sort of defends this square as well, so you can't really defend this pawn, unless we move the knight here. So this is the French defense, so this is a very solid defense. So these two pawns here like this, that's the French defense. And it's a very solid opening as black. So there's natural developments at this stage. He's attacking those squares, we're defending those squares. Both players aren't really doing anything dangerous. Now my bishop is pinned, the bishop is pinning my knight. I unpin it because that's what happens. For whenever they do a pin, you remove the pin because that becomes a weakness if you don't. So we attack, we exchange. Nothing too crazy at the moment. Actually, hold on. First scenario here. As soon as I move back here, we've got two attackers on this pawn and two defenders. But this is an inaccuracy, a mistake on my part. I'd move it away to get more space, which enables my opponent to take away the pawn. So I just take it anyway. But now he's got a really powerful knight where it is, so we should attack it straight away. We do not want that knight, plus it needs to defend the pawn. So he defends, he knows that that knight is very powerful now. We have to trade it, so we couldn't afford to not trade that knight. He was in it was in such a powerful position. That wasn't the threat, so we moved it forward. Double attacking, but we've got two defenders on the pawn. Now we've got our pieces all lined up. This guy's a bit dubious at the moment, so his rook's not actually doing anything in the play. So this bishop's probably not very active. My bishop's active. My king is safe. His king is not so safe. I can go to this square, start putting pressure on. So there's a bit of, his pawn structure's is not too bad either. It's pretty good. So it's fairly even at this stage. We've got even material. So he takes away the strength of my bishop. He wants to exchange. I say we can exchange, but you'll have to take on your terms. So exchange. So defending. And if you remember, have a think about it, but try and work out from the videos before what the name of this pawn is. Okay, I'm going to answer it. It's a backward pawn, and that becomes quite weak in the later games. Alright, so this is a backward pawn as well, but it's defended. Our bishop is hanging, so he's attacking it, attacking our weakness. Please note that this is still hanging. This is hanging. This is hanging. This is hanging. So, so this one's hanging as well. So they've got definitely more weakness than us, but whether or not we can exploit it, that's the main thing. So his rook's the most active piece. If we can get his rook off the board, then we get the C file, or we get the C file all to ourselves. So that would be very positional advantage. So if we take here, and he takes here, we've given him the C file again. We don't want to do that. So he's attacking there, attacking there. So I ignore the threat. I want to keep this closed up. So if I open this up, his pawns will come down and start trying to promote. and put some pressure on my rooks as well. Plus, his 2 rooks are very strong on this file, so this is quite an even game. So I have to keep up the defense. Plus, I also moved it forward because I was thinking at this stage I wanted to control this square. I wanted to control this square as well. So we're happy to trade with a bishop for a rook. So I wanted to try and control as many squares as possible in the later game and try and restrict his rooks. So just in case I wanted to get rid of... I just wanted to make a retreat for the king, because if the rooks come down and somehow traded and got us in checkmate. So that's why we need to expend the pawns. So he's trying to open up the game on the king side. At this stage, I'm not sure he knows what he's doing, because he's starting to open up on this side, and he's actually got the advantage here. So this is what happens with our ranking as well. We can get into these situations where either the player is in a winning position, but then I'll start giving it up by opening up pawn moves. And so now this pawn is very important to me because it's keeping the bishop trapped. So these squares, very important, because it's blocking the pawn and it's also controlling the light square. So I want to defend the pawn. We know the threat's coming, where he's going to try and come down and trying to attack us. He's trying to control more squares. That's a very good move. Try and defend the backward pawn. We don't really... It's scary. As soon as I start pushing pawns here, we've got to remember you can't push pawns back. So when we move up here, all of a sudden our rook will be on this file. Their rook will be on this file, and our king will be in danger. Okay, so we don't want to open it up. Our king's quite safe where it is. Their bishop was starting to get a bit dangerous there, so we traded. We were just happy to keep this structure anyway, so we had the advantage, positional advantage at the moment, and we had to try and stop the pawn from promoting. And the best thing to do is to get a piece in front of the pawn, so the piece can't go through the pawn. Okay, so he exchanged, and then again, so every time to stop a pawn from going forward to promote, we block it with a piece. That's the best way. So he checks us, now he's defending. So we're trying to move up the board. So what we really want to do now is trying to get our king up towards the end of the board and take out these guys and probably promote this pawn. We have trouble now because we've opened up this square, so we really have to be careful not to overextend too much. He probably shouldn't have taken then. So we're still defending our weakness. This is definitely a weak pawn. This is definitely a weak pawn. These are weak as well. So he attacks us. He's getting into time trouble now too. So he's down to 11 seconds, so he'd be rushing. My king's safe again, it can't get attacked. I do have all these weaknesses now starting to show. But the rook can't leave this square, can't leave his pawn, because as soon as he leaves the pawn, I attack. And then his promotion is no longer valid. So now I just push forward because for promotion, and if he takes, I get the queen. And he resigned in that spot because he saw that I was going to get the queen. Okay, and the next game, I was playing as black. So this game says it's very intense. So we're attacking the pawn. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, we're doing some good moves. I don't like showing that. Where is it? Okay, it's just showing it anyway. This was a good game, just opening up the board. So yeah, it shows a mistake. We're sort of attacking here, extending our pawns. We want to attack that knight. It's such a powerful knight, but it's defended by the bishop. Exchanging, no. Yep, then we exchange to the bishops. So we've got all our pieces. Our opponents now are starting to get developed a lot more. So in the other games I've told you about, they've been hiding they haven't been developing as much. But if you have a look, they've got all their active pieces now. These are classified as active when they're linked together. So they're actually playing their part. They're defending the back row. So expanding. Take the center. There was 2 attackers then. He attacks my queen. Yeah, it's definitely a good move. Got to run away. So this was bad. If I take here, he gets my rook. It's also defended as well. Sometimes you just gotta, the computer won't like it because it takes away your positional advantage. So this is where I stuffed up. So I can actually take that. So what happened was I didn't take the piece, but if you have a look, I can take the piece. So I could just take it. The reason is you go, oh, you know, back row checkmate. Wait, so the rook could come down here, but it actually can't. Because the reason is it's pinned to the rook. So it couldn't actually move. That was the move and I missed it. So I open up the board, get a retreat for my king, and also my queen was defended. So I ran away. He would have probably resigned in that spot. But it was hard to see that move. So we're just trying to take away some squares. I was thinking at this stage, try and check there and then checkmate. Try and control the back row as well. So it's just a little bit of dancing around the board. That was a huge blunder. This is the tactic. Take there. So so as soon as you enter take the pawn, he would have been he's tied up in so many places. And then that was the end of the game. He gave up after that and just let the time run out. But that was a really good move. So yeah, that was probably the move of the game. Okay, and this is the final game. So yeah, this is a weird opening. I've rarely ever see this opening. It's called the Vant Kruj opening. I've never heard of it. I've seen it once or twice, but it's not very common. So he's just getting his bishop in the long diagonal. His light square bishop is very active, so that's probably the reason why this opening, he uses his opening, likes using his bishops. Hasn't used his knights. Normally you get your knights out first. Our pawns are very strong. Plus we're attacking this square as well. So his knight's very messy at this stage. So his knight can't come out. If it does, then we can take and get double pawns. And yeah, it's going to take a while for him to castle as well. So it's not really a good opening. It's good for his bishops, but not good for his knights. So you don't want to... The reason why you do an opening is so you can put your pieces... The opening is... the opening is named for a reason. So the reason is they've got to be... Openings are for positional purposes. So they're known positions for the best squares for your pieces. But if you don't play an opening perfect, then your pieces end up like this, and they end up trapped where they can't expand, and you block your pieces. And that's what we do in low, because we're low rank players. That's what we do, is we do these mistakes where we don't put our pieces on the best squares. So that was a good move, because this was attacked twice and then pinned. That's why it was a strong move. He couldn't get out of that pin. Now we've got a very active rook. Probably want to link up the rooks here. Could attack the bishop here. That bishop's very dangerous. Want to take away the threat. The reason why I let this happen, I created a discovered attack. So what I could do is decide what piece I want to take. So I could take here, be in check, and then attack something else later. So that's what he saw. He actually saw it, so he didn't take straight away. Sacrificed. So this was a big mistake too, that he did. I don't think I was actually better. Before that move, I don't think my pieces were highly active. His weren't. He had more of a... He had more points than us. So, yeah, definitely, he probably shouldn't have sacrificed. What he should have done was... Wait, in this spot, what would he do? So, going here's a mistake. Probably, it's tough. What would you do in this situation if you're white? This is pretty tough. I don't know if I can turn the board around at this stage. Yeah, I can't turn around the board, I don't think. Hold on. No. Yeah, so what would you do? There's no good squares for this bishop. The knight's is just terrible. Yeah, there's not... Yeah, this is a losing position for white. It's actually really bad. Once you start looking at all the pieces, you know you're in a losing position if you've got nowhere to go. So you really had no moves. So that's the reason why. Okay, that's fair enough. If you get frustrated, you make blunders. And all of a sudden, I just wrecked up a winning game. Yeah, and that was the end of the game. I resigned. Yeah. There's not much you can... Oh, no, did I? I must have ran out of time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.